What's up, football fans? Back again on location in Door County. But today, we're talking the NFC predictions for the 2022 NFL season. I know I usually do Packers only, but everything Packers. But I want to have a prediction out there for the season. You can check my predictions out on Twitter normally at S_Joseph_K. But for the most part, I try to do the predictions live or recorded live on YouTube, and then and then try to post something on Twitter as well. So check me out there. If you're not following me on Twitter, do so, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. But so we have a lot to talk about when it comes to how this NFC is going to look. I'm going to do an AFC one as well, but I will do the NFC first, since that is the division the Packers, or the conference the Packers are in, obviously. So we'll start with the NFC North, because obviously that's the division that the Packers are in, and that's the one that we care the most about as fans of the green and gold. But obviously what happens in the other divisions is really going to be big for the entire season, and what happens in the playoffs and so on. So we'll start with the NFC North. Damn birds. I'm going to try to remember exactly how I had it on my Twitter prediction, but I'm doing this on location. I don't have another computer, so I'm just going to do this by memory, and I think I got it because that's how my memory works. But anyway, so obviously the division winner for the NFC North, I'm picking the Green Bay Packers. I know a lot of people are really high on the Minnesota Vikings. You can go watch my Week 1 defense, offense against the Vikings videos to see my views on the Vikings, but I do not think the Vikings are going to be that good this year. I know Kevin O'Connell is a good coach coming over from the Rams, but rookie coaches usually struggle, and I know there's anomalies, but still, normally they struggle. And going from a defensive coach to an offensive coach, there's going to be some learning curves. There's going to be growing pains, and Kirk Cousins only has such a high ceiling. So I really think the Lions I know people are going to laugh, I really think the Lions are going to step up. The Lions and the Vikings are going to be battling it out for that second spot in the division. I think they're going to both be 9-8 or 8-9 respectively, but I think that's going to be about their ceiling. I think they're both going to be about the same. I know the Bears are going to struggle. They're going to be at the bottom of the division. I look for the Packers to be about 12-5 or 13-4 based on whether or not they have to play the last game of the season. So I look forward to seeing, how the division kind of works itself out as a whole. But like I said, I think the Vikings kind of stay stagnant, and the Lions make some improvements this year and actually get a little bit better. But still, both of them, I don't have making either of those teams. I don't have either of those teams making the playoffs, just the Packers as the division winner making the playoffs this year. So that is the NFC North. Like I said, the Bears are going to struggle. New coach. They have a defensive coach for their offensive quarterback. They don't have a lot of weapons for Fields. David Montgomery is going to be like the only real weapon. I know Darnell Mooney, but otherwise I don't think the Bears are going to make any leaps this year. And, the Vikings, like I said, they have decent offense. Jefferson's put up the most yards for a receiver in his first 2 seasons. And Dalvin Cook can play, but he might be hurt. He has injury issues, so he might get hurt at some point in the season. So, the defense, though, that's where it was Mike Zimmer's team. His defense was usually stout. Yesterday I was talking about the Vikings defense, and I had forgot about Cameron Dantzler and Eric Hendricks. So I really think that with those guys, the defense could be good. They added Zadarius Smith. They still have Harrison Smith, but I just think the offense with Kirk Cousins, the ceiling is only so high. They don't really have another huge playmaker. I know they traded for Jalen Reagor. I had forgot about saying that yesterday when I talked about the Vikings offense, but when I was talking about the Packers defense and referring to the Vikings offense, I forgot they traded for Jalen Reagor. But the reason Reagor was available is because the Eagles didn't like where he was at. He didn't really grow as a player, and I just don't really think that he's a guy that we have to worry about too much. Obviously Jefferson and Thielen, but you add Reagor, and the Packers have 3 corners who are really, really good. They will match up pretty well against those guys. You put Jair on Jefferson or Stokes on Jefferson, and then you can have Douglas on Thielen pretty much, and then whoever the other guy is, alternate on Rager. And whoever is going to be on Rager is going to be, the corner is going to be better than the receiver. The matchup goes to the Packers, whoever they have on there, Jair or Stokes. And then whoever goes on, if Jair's on Jefferson, that's a pretty good matchup. So they should match up well on the outside, and this run defense for the Packers. I just think the Packers have a better overall team top to bottom. I do think the Vikings will probably be second place at 9-8, and then the Lions at 8-9, and then the Bears around 5-12. I didn't do all the actual numbers to make sure it all worked out when I did all these predictions, but it's kind of a rough estimate of where I think they will be. And then, another division win for the Packers. They will be in the running for the number 1 seed again. I almost, after last year in the cold weather, I almost would prefer us not get the number 1 seed and maybe play a game on the road if we have to. I think with a high-powered offense, well, I feel like we had a more high-powered offense maybe with Devontae, but now these young guys can play. So these young guys look like they'll be ready. It'll be less Devontae-centric. It'll be more open to, spreading the ball around and getting it to playmakers. You added Doubs and Watson and Samari, and now, get Amari Rodgers in the mix more. You have Allen Lazard, who looks to be a number 1. And Rodgers said that Watkins and Cobb have had some of the best camps he has seen by a receiver in his career, and that's saying a lot because they've had, Jennings and Jordy and obviously Devontae. So I think that this overall offense for the Packers will be good enough. But like I said, I think that maybe if we had a warm weather game, if we had to go down to a stadium, I don't think Dallas will be in the NFC Championship game, but if they do, I think that's a place where we can go down and do some damage with a high-powered offense. But if it is cold, if we do have a number 1 seed and we are in Green Bay, I think this running game and this defense can win us the championship, no doubt. Obviously, a top 3 running back tandem with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Maybe Chubb and Hunter ahead of them. I don't know really any other main combos. There's a lot of one-trick pony guys like Taylor, or one-player team guys like Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. I wouldn't call Chuba Hubbard and McCaffrey a better duo than Dillon and Jones. I think those two are probably the best, or at least the top 3 tandem behind Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But with Kareem Hunt being a little upset with his role, or asking for a trade, maybe his production goes down. So it could easily be Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, who are the number 1 running back tandem. Their goal is to both be in the Pro Bowl and have combined over 2,000 yards. I think it's even feasible that they have a combined over 2,500 yards. Aaron Jones could easily have 70 catches. I think he has 50 for sure, and it'll be somewhere between 50 and 70. But that's a lot of catches for a running back, and he is dynamic with the ball in his hands. So I like where this team is at on offense, but, like I said, I really like where they're at on defense. Adding Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker to an already solid middle linebacker group and defensive line group just adds so much depth. And then those corners, I keep saying it's going to be a no-fly zone. Receivers are going to go to Jair Island and not be heard from for at least that Sunday. So that's an exciting thing to have Jair back. And then obviously we got Douglas last year, and Stokes was able to get a lot of snaps. So all in all, I think this team is primed for a big season, and that's why I feel like they're going to win the division. So that's the NFC North. Packers on top, the Vikings in second, not in the playoffs, not in the wild card. Remember, there's 4 division winners and 3 wild cards with only 1 number 1 seed, only 1 first round bye this year. So there's 1 number 1 seed and then 6 basically wild card teams for wild card weekend. And then, but 3 of those are division winners with the home having the game at home, and then the other 3 are non-division winners, and it's whoever has the best record. So a division could have 3 teams, have the division winner and then have all 3 teams. So have all 4 teams could be in the playoffs from one division if their conference wins out. That's kind of unrealistic just because they play each other so much, so it's hard for them. But if other teams really do bad and if the AFC really beat up on the NFC this year, it is possible to have all 4 teams be in the playoffs, I think. But I guess I think since they play each other so much, maybe it wouldn't mathematically work out. But still, you could have 3 out of the 4 be in the playoffs, and then that only leaves one other team from the other 3. And so that's a big deal. I don't think the Vikings make it this year at 9-8. The Packers will be in there at about, they could easily be 14-3. But I think it's more realistic that they're 13-4 again, but at least 12-5, which, the Madden simulation had Dak having 57 touchdowns and the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, which I don't think will happen. Dak won't have that many touchdowns and the Cowboys won't win the Super Bowl. But, so they had the Cowboys going 12-5 and being the number 1 seed. So if that's all it takes, I think the Packers could easily be that. So another good season coming. I really do believe. I think their defense is better than last year. I think their offense can be more dynamic and scheme guys open better than last year without being Devontae-centric. And I think these running backs are primed to have a big season, both of them. And you had the back-to-back MVP. Can't forget about him. So he's happy and excited to play. So I'm excited for that. So anyway, now to the NFC. Let's do the South. NFC South. And so you have Tom Brady coming back. He retired for 40 days. Then he took an 11-day hiatus and said, hey, I had shit to do. Then we saw reports that Giselle was mad and she had moved out or was leaving the compound, the Brady compound. Who knows if all that stuff's true? She could have just been going shopping and the media wrote that she was leaving them. So who knows? It's still the GOAT. It's still Tom Brady. It's still 7-time Super Bowl champion. It's still a team right now that has Julio Jones, who has stepped up big for years, and he's a guy that they said looks like he is back to normal. So of course they're not going to say he looks like he's terrible, but still they say he looks great. I think Chris Godwin is still hurt. He's coming off the injury list, but at some point this year. But they have Mike Evans, who's had 8 1,000-yard seasons, and then they signed Russell Gage. They have Leonard Fournette, who's said he was overweight, but he looks like he'll be good to go. And this defense is stacked still. The only issue is they've lost 3 guys on the offensive line, Jensen and some other guys. I think Tristan Wirfs is still in there, so he's a big, he's a Pro Bowl guy. But for the most part, 3 offensive linemen, that's a huge deal. They're talking about some other teams losing an offensive lineman, and it's like the Cowboys losing Tyron Smith, but losing the Buccaneers losing 3 guys, losing their center, and now they're going to have some guy who's never played center. I don't think he was a rookie last year out of, I think, Notre Dame. He's going to play center now. So, and then you have Tyler Smith, the rookie. He's going to be over at left tackle for a little bit, I think, and they signed the 40-year-old Jason Peters. So, that's the Cowboys. But having Tampa have 3 guys who are injured on the offensive line, that's really tough. That's going to make it difficult to block things up front, give Tom Brady time. He wants to get rid of the football fast. And so if teams can cover, that intermediate stuff, they can put pressure on Brady quick and cause some issues. So I'm really wondering how Tom Brady is going to do this year. It could be the year where he finally starts to decline. I hate to bet against them, though. I used to be kind of a Patriots hater and wanted them to not win again. And every time I'd bet against him thinking, it's this time they're going to lose, he would win. And then eventually I stopped. I never really bet, but I always thought they'd lose. And now I just don't, though. But at 45, entering his 22nd season, he's got to have some kind of downfall at some point. But so I think it's going to be a battle between the Saints and Tampa Bay. And I actually think I have the Saints winning this division this year. I really think the addition of, Chris Olave and having Tyrann Mathieu on the back end, Jameis Winston hopefully will be healthy all season, and Michael Thomas being back, Alvin Kamara. I think the Saints defense always seems to play good against Tampa Bay. So I really think that this team is going to be the team to beat. I don't have a record for you guys when it comes to all these other teams just because I don't have the math all done, so I don't want to have somebody be like, oh, your math, you can't have them be or do or have that record or whatever. So I think Saints win the division. Tampa is second, and they do make the playoffs as a wild card. The Panthers will be third. I think Baker Mayfield has a good season, but I don't think they make the playoffs. I think it's just not a good enough team. But I think he's an exciting player to watch, and I think that Carolina will be exciting to watch if McCaffrey can stay healthy. They have some weapons with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, who is a true number one, and they have Terrence Marshall, and then they have Rashad Higgins, who is one of Baker Mayfield's guys. So I think they just added another piece too, which makes a lot of depth there at receiver for Baker. And I think Carolina will just be exciting to watch. I don't think they have enough firepower to win a lot of games, but I think they'll be around 7-8 games, and that's going to put them in contention for pushing for a playoff spot. They're going to be a tough team, a tough out for a lot of teams, but I don't think they have enough to make the playoffs. And then the Falcons will, they're not really primed or set up to win much this year. I think they should get Desmond Ridder in there early, try to get him some snaps. I think he's a guy that can be a starter in this league in the future. I know they brought in Mariota, but maybe, 1 year, maybe let Mariota just play this year and then hand it over to Desmond Ridder. But if Mariota really struggles, maybe just throw Desmond Ridder into the fire. He's got Kyle Pitts to kind of play around with. They have Cordero Patterson. On the defense, they have Terrell Jr. and Grady Jackson. So I kind of like those two guys, but otherwise they don't have a lot of pieces. And I like the idea of throwing Desmond Ridder in there and getting him some snaps, getting him some opportunities. And he's a guy that can really, take advantage of a situation where he just gets to play, no pressure, and just kind of learn the NFL. So, I think it's going to be the Saints who win the NFC South with Tampa Bay as the wild card coming out of the South, and then Carolina and the Falcons as the 3 and 4. Don't see them making the playoffs. Don't see them as real threats, but like I said, I think Carolina will be a fun team to watch at least. So then we go to, let's do the NFC West then. So this is the division where it could be 3 teams out of this division make the playoffs. Seattle's out. Seattle's the odd man out. You can't win games with Geno Smith or Drew Lock. That's a given. They don't really have a lot of weapons outside of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who I guess are good. Those are solid pieces, but they don't draft well. They've been drafting running backs real high. I know they have Kenneth Walker and they have Rashad Penny, who can run the ball, but not a lot of people are high on Seattle. They don't have a real good defense. They don't have a lot of their quarterbacks. It's a quarterback league, and Geno Smith's been a guy that's kind of never really amounted to what they thought he could after he was in college, and I don't see Seattle being a threat at all. So we will start from the top. I'm calling the Rams. They're Super Bowl champs. They're going to win the division. I know a lot of people have 49ers winning the Super Bowl. I don't even think Trey Lance can play yet. And I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, I'm not a hater at all. I think he's got an amazing physical tool set. He's tall. He's got a freaking cannon for an arm. He's super athletic. And when they brought him in to play a few snaps here and there, he looked really good. But when teams are game planning for Jimmy G, and you throw in a guy like Trey Lance, who is so different skill set wise, it makes it really easy for him to kind of have success right away, because the defense isn't schemed up for him. But now with him being the starter, teams are going to be able to scheme up for him. They're going to know he's athletic. They're going to know that he's a little inaccurate. And they're going to pressure him, try to get a guy in his face and try to make him throw quick, make quick decisions. And they have heard that he's been shaky. They've heard that he only went like 1 for 11 in some of his practices, and he threw 4 picks and all. Teams hear about this stuff, and they watch film and they see where his weaknesses are. And when they scheme up for him, it's going to be a lot different than when they're scheming up for like Jimmy G. Ooh, do that. And so I was trying to see what freaking time it is quick without messing up the screen, and then I flipped you guys around so you looked at a rock. So you get to see a nice Door County rock. But yeah, it's beautiful out here anyway. So The 49ers just, I don't think with Trey Lance, they're a team that I want to call really a Super Bowl contender yet. I got to see more out of Trey Lance. He's got a cannon for an arm. He had some 80-yard bombs. The preseason he looked good. But, preseason the teams don't really scheme. The defense is playing all kinds of different guys. They're throwing different guys in the mix. They're having looks at guys that aren't going to even be on the team. And so it's not really a good gauge. Obviously he's got a cannon and he's athletic. We know that. That's not even a question at all. So, can he read, react, and make the right decision in big clutch situations, and not always rely on his athleticism to get out of trouble? Because we saw with RG3, that doesn't last very long. He's going to have to throw in this league, and he's not a Lamar Jackson type guy. So I just want to see more. I'm not ready to pick him as a Super Bowl contender until I've seen him play. It's not a Patrick Mahomes type situation. And they kept Jimmy G. They went back and got him. So there's something going on there. Whether or not they want to make a big deal about it or not, there's still something going on there when you're paying somebody to be the highest backup in the league. There is a reason for it. Everything has a reason behind it. So otherwise, the 49ers have a really good defense, really stout defense, really good offense. Debo, Kittle, Elijah Mitchell had the most 100-yard games aside from, I think, one guy last year. I think he had 5 and Taylor had 7 or something, but something like that. It was really strange that he was so close I think he was a 7th rounder, really late drafted guy, but that's what the Shanahans do. Back to his dad with Orlando Gary back in the day and on the Broncos, and just the list goes on. I remember all those different guys. So Denver's been doing it. Now San Fran does it with their running back. So, but anyway, so I think the Rams win this division. Stafford's back. They have Cooper Kupp, Triple Crown guy. His season last year was just ridiculous when you add the playoffs. It was ridiculous anyway, and then you add the playoffs, and it's really ridiculous. And then, obviously, they added Allen Robinson, the receiver, who I liked a lot, at Jacksonville. He went to the Bears, so I didn't like him so much as a Bear, but now he's in L.A., and he is a guy who put up numbers wherever he's been, and now he finally has a quarterback, and he finally has a team. So look for Allen Robinson to have a big season. Then they have Van Jefferson and Higbee and Darrell Henderson, and I know they got rid of Sony Michel, but they have Cam Akers. So this offense looks like it could be good, but then the Rams defense is where the money is. That's where Aaron Donald is. He's the highest paid defensive player. Then you have Jalen Ramsey, who is an elite corner. I think Jair's better, but Ramsey's just as good or better. He's up there. And then they have Leonard Floyd, and they just got Bobby Wagner, and so I don't know where the Rams get all this money from, but they look like the team to beat in the NFC. Actually, the Buffalo Bills are favored on Thursday night against them, but still it's going to be pretty crazy to see them play against each other because they're such elite teams all in all. But the Rams, I think, come out of this division on top. I think that, I don't think they're going to repeat as champions, but I think they're going to make a run at least. They're going to be a tough out, and it just got really wavy all of a sudden. But it's beautiful, you guys. It really is. Some kayakers. So I think that, they're going to have a good season, not a repeat season, not back-to-back, because no one's gone back-to-back since 2003, 2004 with the Patriots, back during the Spygate stuff too, so who knows what the real reason they even went back-to-back was. It is tough to repeat in this league. The Packers went back-to-back Super Bowls in 96, 97, but lost the second one to the Broncos, but still, they're one of the last teams to even go to the Super Bowl twice in a row. So, pretty awesome. That this season is going to shake out to be one of the best ever, just because there's so many elite teams and teams that are really good, and now there's rivalries between guys because there's been so much competitiveness for years and year after year. So the Rams look poised to win the division with the 49ers coming in second. I think the Niners make the playoffs as a wild card. You guys will probably fry me for saying that they won't even make the playoffs after making it to the NFC Championship last year, and now They added Trey Lance to be their quarterback, and if he could be good, he'll be, make a run because his team's so good. But if he sucks and they throw Jimmy G in, they could be good too. So I think they'll be fine. I just think there might be some growing pains at first before they realize that Lance is not the guy, and then if they switch over to Jimmy. So I don't want to, hopefully Lance succeeds and does well. I just don't. Accuracy is king in the NFL, and he just has struggled, and it's always kind of been an issue for him. So we will see. But then, I think then Rams win, then the 49ers come in second place, and I'll say they make the playoffs. And then the Cardinals are the odd man out. I think they just struggle a little bit. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks of the season. J.J. Watt's always kind of injured. They lost Chase Edmonds, the running back, to the Dolphins. They have James Conner, who I do like. He's kind of an undervalued guy, a guy that doesn't get a lot of recognition. And so the Cardinals, they have A.J. Green. They have Rondale Moore, who they want to get more involved. Zach Ertz still. Max Williams, the tight end. And then defense, they have Budda Baker, obviously, who I like. And so it's a team that's got pieces for sure. It's just that they're in a really tough division, and with Kyler Murray being undersized and injury-prone, it could be difficult for them to really win a lot of games. I don't know what to think about them. So it's going to be exciting to see how it all plays out. I really think that it is a year where the Rams, the Niners, or the Cardinals really could be a team that just kind of jets past everyone else in the division. The Cardinals have had years where they started like 8-0 or 9-0 and then finished off slow. So maybe it's the year they put it all together. They do have a pretty stacked team, and on paper it looks really good. So we'll see how it turns out. I have them third and not making the playoffs though. So even with all that talent, it's a tough division, like I said, with the Rams being so stacked and the Niners being just such a solid and this team has a lot of experience. So Cardinals are still young and have a lot to learn still. So then you have Seattle. So we're going Rams, Niners as a wild card team, Cardinals just out of it, just on the line, probably 9 wins, and then Seattle, who really struggles, probably the worst team in the league this year. I think the Bears and the Seahawks are going to be really bad. So that's the NFC West, and now we head over to the East. And we will start with, it really comes down to the Eagles and the Cowboys for the division winner. I think that whoever doesn't win the division also makes the playoffs. And the other two teams, the Commanders and the Giants, both are the odd teams out, and they both have difficult seasons. Carson Wentz on the Commanders is a big lift, I think. He's better than Taylor Heineke. So I think he is better than him. Antonio Gibson, I heard, was battling for a running back spot with some rookie or something like that. And so who knows what they have going on. Terry McLaurin's a big star on the outside. Jahan Dotson out of Penn State, he's a guy that can play too. But there's not a lot of pieces overall on this Commanders team on either side of the ball, and I just think they're going to struggle. There's just so much talent across the league. The AFC is so stacked, so anytime these teams have to play against AFC teams, they're going to be probably the underdog, and the Commanders are just going to struggle a lot, I think. Carson Wentz actually had a good season last year, like 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. People are sleeping on him because he had his throw the over-the-head pass that no one understood why he did that at the 1-yard line against the Titans for a touchdown. So don't think that's going to be an issue as much this year with him. I think he can revert back to some of his old self, but he's a guy that can win some games. I just think that they're going to make the mistake at the wrong time when they shouldn't, and they don't have enough firepower on offense, and their defense isn't stacked enough to really stop any of these good offenses. So I think the Commanders struggle. They might be better than the Giants, but as long as the Giants have Daniel Jones at quarterback, they will not be good at all. Saquon's good. I know they spend $42 million on their wide receiver core, but without a guy that can really throw them the ball, it doesn't really matter. Daniel Jones is more of an athlete. He can run the ball really well. I like his physical tools. I like how his ability to run. I just like that about him, but you can't do that every play. You have to be able to throw it, and the Giants just don't have enough firepower on defense. It sucks because when the Giants are good, when New York teams are good, it really is good for the league, but the Giants and Jets have not been really solid teams lately, and I think the Jets are actually going to start Joe Flacco. So, bummer for the Jets, but I don't think the Giants will be good either. So, you had the Giants and the Commanders at the bottom of the NFC East battling for the worst team in that division, and whoever is the worst team in that division is going to be battling for the worst team in the league with the Bears and the Seattle Seahawks. I actually think the Texans and the Jaguars will have better seasons than Seahawks and the Bears. So, then since we know who is not going to win the division, I think we know who might win the division. It's either going to be the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott or the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts. Now, I think it's going to be Hurts and the Eagles. They're talking about how they have an all-star looking team on paper. They added some big pieces on defense. Nakobe Dean, if he can get into form, he could be the steal of the draft on defense. And I think Romeo Doubs will be the steal of the draft on offense for the Packers. But they have Jordan Davis, the big guy out of Georgia, in the first round, 6'6", 4'5", 40 or whatever. This guy's ridiculous. I think it's going to be a little bit different in the NFL for him because these guys that he's going up against on the offensive line are going to be bigger and stronger as well. But he is a physical specimen. He's got Fletcher Cox next to him and, Nakobe Dean behind him. Brandon Graham, this team is stacked, and I really like where they're at on both sides of the ball. This Philadelphia Eagles team with Jalen Hurts, and they have Miles Sanders, and now they have A.J. Brown along with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. I think this Eagles team can really do some damage. They led the league in rushing yards last year. I know the Ravens probably should have, but they had all those injuries, Dobbins and whatnot. But I really think the Eagles, with the running game and with the addition of A.J. Brown, can really be a formidable offense. And I just think they're going to be tough for Dallas. Dallas always just makes the mistake when you least expect it, and I really think that because of that, the Eagles take over this division this year. No, the NFC East has not repeated, and probably I think it was 2004 when the Eagles, 03-04 when the Eagles repeated. It was way before. I mean, it's been a long time. So if you're a betting person, you would not bet that the Cowboys are going to repeat as division winners this year. Chances are they won't, and probability says they will not as well. So, Dax, after getting paid $75 million last year, he really needs to step up and win in spite of Mike McCarthy and win in spite of Jerry Jones. I think that Ezekiel Elliott's probably not in his prime anymore. They keep thinking he's going to be the workhorse running back and the guy that can, that's what Jerry Jones said the focus of the Cowboys will be this season on offense is Ezekiel Elliott, and he's probably not even the best running back on his own team. Tony Pollard looks more explosive, looks faster, is a better receiver out of the backfield, and by the end of the season, I think he'll be the lead back. Obviously, Cowboys have questions on the offensive line. Travis Frederick's been gone for years with his illness. Zach Martin's not the same same offensive lineman that he has been. Tyron Smith is injured. They have Tyler Smith, the rookie, who's had the most holding penalties in college football last year. Well, false starts. Most penalties in college football last year. Probably the most holding penalties. But then they just went out and signed 40-year-old Jason Peters, who's just the left tackle. But Cowboys are kind of a mess up front. Then on the outside, they let Amari Cooper go. So for a fifth round, they traded him for nothing. And then, so now CeeDee Lamb will be the starter. Well, the number one receiver. Michael Gallup still coming off the ACL. Jalen Tolbert out of Southern Alabama, who could be good, but he's going to be raw and take some time. So obviously they have Dalton Schultz, who could be, the second target on this team until Gallup comes back. It's going to be tough sledding for this Cowboys team. They have the Buccaneers week 1, and it's going to be up to Dak to really lead these guys to victories, and I just think the Philadelphia Eagles have too much firepower. They probably split. Dallas probably wins the game in Dallas, and Philly probably wins the game in Philly, but overall I think Philly wins this division. Dallas should make the playoffs, at the very least, probably as the last wild card, the 7th wild card, or the very last wild card. And like I said, the Giants and Commanders do not make the playoffs. They'll struggle as well, but it's going to be a battle till the end. I think the Cowboys and Eagles play each other probably that last game of the season. I think that's what I saw on the schedule, and so it's going to be great to see how this comes down to the wire, all these different divisions and the different wild cards. But I do think Philly wins the NFC East. Dallas will be a close second, but will be a wild card team, and the Commanders and Giants won't be. So the division winners again are the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Rams, the New Orleans Saints, and the Green Bay Packers, with the wild card teams being the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that's right. I think that's how I had it, because I had the NFC North not having any additional teams. So those are the predictions I have for the 2022 NFL season when it comes to division winners. I had done one of these way before training camp as kind of just around the league prediction, but I think I changed a little bit since then, just on overall and based on some of the things that have happened and some of the trades. Eagles did trade Jalen Reagor, so they only have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but I think they're happy with those guys. And Reagor got traded for a reason, so the Vikings can take him, but I don't think he's going to be a big addition. So those are the guys. Those are the teams. Like I said, I did make a prediction before, but I think this is going to be how it is. And I think I have it memorized right from what I posted on Twitter. Again, check out the Twitter at S_Joseph_K and follow me there. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the other videos, and I will be back soon talking Packers football season. It starts tomorrow. Buffalo at Rams. Can't wait. I'm super excited. Get to watch it around here. I'm going to be pumped. Hope you guys are excited too. Got to get my fantasy football going. I wait till the last minute all the time to get going on my fantasy, but I'll let you guys know what kind of teams I get. I'll probably just do a couple this year. I try not to get too serious about it because it gets too exciting, but hopefully I can get into some good leagues and get some good guys and have a lot to share with you guys about it. And so thanks again, guys, for watching. Go Packers, and see you in the next one. Peace.